Hello, my name is Christina, and today I will be speaking about a culture that I became pretty familiar with over the past 4 years. And the object that I chose to represent that is the American flag. The reason I chose the American flag is because when a lot of people see it, they think of our country and our freedoms, and a lot of times of our troops that have fought and still continue to fight for those freedoms today. Although I personally am not in the military, my husband is, and I've been a military spouse for 4 years now, and through that time I have really gotten to know the culture that surrounds military families and the challenges that they may face. And hopefully this video can provide some insight into a different kind of structure of family and maybe some tips or advice to anyone thinking of joining, or if you have a friend or a significant other that is thinking of joining. So being a military spouse means being willing to be flexible with personal goals, such as education, and willing to move wherever the military sends your spouse. It also means that they may go away for extended periods of time. Your spouse might go on deployments or TDYs, which is pretty much just a fancy term for a business trip. But these times may not always be the most convenient. Luckily, I haven't had to experience that, but I do have a close friend who found out she's expecting her first baby recently, and her husband is being deployed throughout the pregnancy, and when the baby is born, he will still be deployed, unfortunately. However, they've been able to keep in touch, and he's been able to be a part of the pregnancy through Facetime and Skype, and her family has been able to help her as she stays with them. And they have been strong, and that tends to be what you have to do sometimes. And being a military family means you may not always have your extended family close by, and how you keep in touch with them can be more technology-based, like FaceTime and Skype, like I talked about in my last point. And as far as my personal experience goes with that, we were lucky enough to be stationed near family for our first 3 years. We were stationed in Virginia, about an hour outside of where our families lived, and we got pretty used to that. But that all changed when we had to move to Ohio in 2017. Throughout that time, we've had to learn how to rely more on the community and, more importantly, rely more on each other and get used to keeping in touch different ways. And military spouses and families also tend to form closer friendships within the community because of this. A lot of times those friendships are formed and strengthened through living on base or in base housing. These relationships help to share advice on military lifestyle, from TRICARE to PCSing. Kids of families are able to bond with other kids that are part of a similar kind of family, and they help each other through life changes when extended families can't always be there. I've been lucky enough to get to know some of the ladies in the community, and my son, who is 2 years old, got to play with a lot of their kids, and it's been good for our family overall, because it can be difficult being away from lifelong friends and family, as a lot of military families have to be as they move from station to station. And we are also blessed to have resources in the community to help with challenging times, such as the Family Readiness Center on base and the base chapel. And there's also some online resources such as Military One Source, and their slogan says that they offer practical information and resources for pursuing education goals and achieving career aspirations. They offer these resources for service members, spouses, and children and youth. And they also offer other resources having to do with finances and PCSing, which is a term for moving from one base to another. And military.com is another good resource. It is a little more blog-based, and they offer advice on military families and careers for spouses in transitioning out of the military. The final thing that comes with being a military spouse and being a military family is having to deal with different kinds of schedules. I have been lucky enough that my husband hasn't had to work any really different schedules, but I've had a lot of friends whose husbands have worked at something called Panamas. And these are 12-hour shifts that alternate between days and nights, and they usually last for a string of days, such as 3 on, 4 off. My husband, although he hasn't had to do that, has had to do a lot of different classes and trainings after his actual work day, leading him to not get home until 8 or 9 o'clock sometimes. But we work with that, and we're flexible, and it actually improves communication within the family as we work to get everyone on the same page as what the schedule is going to be every week. And overall, I'd say that military life has shaped me by teaching me to be flexible in plans and to immerse myself in the community. Since we aren't close to family and friends, we have gone out in the community and we've joined different clubs and we've tried different churches and we've got to know different families that way. And it helps us to keep our family close-knit during times of change. And most importantly, it helps me to support my husband in his service to our country. And hopefully this speech has provided some insight to what it's like for military families and different challenges they may face in ways that they may be similar to a non-military family, in ways that they may be different. And thank you for listening.